A character who probably receives less print than he deserves in the passion story of Jesus is the high priest Caiaphas. He figured strongly in the events of the last night of Christ's life following his arrest, just as he was also a central character in the heated conflicts between Jesus and the religious hierarchy, conflicts which had led to his arrest. Caiaphas was the leader of the faith in Jerusalem in that day and age. He convened and directed the affairs of the Sanhedrin, sort of the supreme court of Judaism, their deciding body. Caiaphas was the man who symbolized the spiritual life, the religious life, the pious life, the life of obedience to the law of Moses. As such, he was a man who often reminded his people that someday God would send a Messiah to lead them. However, when that day actually came, Caiaphas could not bring himself to welcome that Messiah, and instead was one of the ones who denied him and sent him off to Pilate to die. How could that have happened, we wonder? Well, maybe we shouldn't find it all that puzzling, because many of us feel what Caiaphas felt. He was so rigid a defender of the past that he was threatened by the future. He was so married to the way things had always been done that he could not make himself open to new ways even if the Messiah demanded them. He was so defensive of the institutional synagogue and temple, even when its practices of cheating the poor who came to offer sacrifices were considered, that when Jesus drove the money changers out of the temple, Caiaphas seethed with resentment and the desire for revenge. And so, when Jesus at last stood before him in a mock trial that Caiaphas knew broke the law of Moses, which he both taught and revered, his anger for Jesus was so strong that his commitment to faith and morality was thrown out the window. Is that truly a foreign experience for us? Or from time to time, don't we all share some DNA with Caiaphas? Years ago, a friend told me of a heated debate in his church. There was a rather substantial amount of undesignated money on hand. The minister and numerous leaders wanted to use those funds to resurface the parking lot and to do new landscaping around the building. A small group of others, however, mostly youth and young adults, wanted to use the money to start a clothing closet for the homeless. In a meeting to discuss the issue, unfortunately, tempers flared. At one point, a young man challenged the minister by saying, "Jesus specifically told us to feed the hungry and clothe the naked. I say we should listen to that." The minister responded, "This is my church, and I say how we use this money." My church or his church? Our will or Christ's will? Sometimes, for whatever reasons, basically good people deny the calls and claims of the Messiah. You ask me to forgive those who hurt me, to turn the other cheek, to pray for my enemies, to give away my goods to feed and house others, to take up a cross and follow in paths of service or sacrifice? I don't think so. I mean, I believe in the Messiah, but this is my life, and I say how I'm going to live it. That was Caiaphas, a man who was basically good and who believed in the Messiah, but who was not willing to submit his will to the will of Jesus. Think about these two questions. First, as church people, how do we sometimes resist the future that Christ has in mind for us? Second, when we do that, why do you think we do so? I'll see you next week.